It is time to figure out what's trending with our interactive managing editor, Elizabeth Reed. Good morning. You are making another appearance on the show.
I am. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic, and I'm curious to find out what's trending because we go a whole weekend kind of out of the loop, I guess you could say.
And actually, this will be a fun story for you and me to talk about since Michael isn't here. But a new study came out from a marketing firm that says women are more active in social media use than men. So they polled about 2,300 Americans. 68% of women said that they use social media or they were very active with your social media use, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, even MySpace. I didn't know people still use MySpace.
You and me both, right? MySpace?
Yeah, exactly. And then 54% of men said that they use social media. And actually the poll actually found out that men like using telephone and voice communication more than they like online communication, which kind of makes me so like, what?
I would think that men wouldn't like to use the telephone.
I know. Well, I feel like, it always evolves. Like when we had telephones, men said, I don't want to use these. I prefer voice communication. And now that we have online communication, it gets more befuddled. And now they're like, well, I like telephone instead. So, I think that it's a pretty neat survey because it really shows, actually 2 years ago, men were found to be using Facebook and social media more. And a lot of these marketing firms are using this technology to figure out how they should be pushing ads to men versus women. So obviously they can use more type of TV commercials and more vocal commands, as they call it, to kind of call people to action for men, whereas women respond more to online. I don't know if you ever see your Facebook ads pop up with a cute dress in the corner.
And I always wonder that. They're tailored to, I guess, your friends or some of the things that you post, because I have wedding stuff all over my Facebook. Maybe because my status, right? Maybe.
Exactly. Yeah, they can tailor Facebook ads to what you like, your relationship status, where you live, how old you are. So it's getting a little bit creepy, but actually I find myself, if I see like a little ad in the corner with a cute dress, I go, ooh, I get really distracted and I'll click on it and look through the website. So I guess it's working.
It is working. I always see the ads for the shoes as well. So.
But men really, they need to get more on the bandwagon, this research also shows, because more employers, as we talked about a few weeks ago, are using online and social media to recruit employers. So, and they actually will kind of stray away from a person who they don't see as much on Google or on Facebook, because then they feel a little bit like they can't figure out what your personality is before you walk into that interview. And employers love figuring out a little piece of you before you get in there.
They love spying on them.
Gone are the days where you think you can get away from it and come in with a clean slate. So the best thing you can do is even just set up a professional one, and then on the side you're still networking with your friends and family, and it really, a lot of men need to get more on it, is what this research is telling us.
Does it include the network? I know we always talk about Twitter, Facebook, and MySpace. They're kind of like the big three of the social networking groups, but are like smaller sites like LinkedIn and some of the other professional sites included in that?
I didn't find too much, or they didn't really break it down in terms of like which site was getting more men and women. But I bet if you looked at LinkedIn compared to other social networking sites, men probably have more of a presence on that. Because what they found with Facebook was that more women were driven on it because they could share their photos, they could share their status, they could communicate with their friends easier, whereas men were kind of on it, just to be on it and say, okay, I guess I have to be on this because everybody else, all my friends are. But with LinkedIn, it's a more professional network, as we talked about before, and people are using it for jobs, and I think men are a little bit more, let me get to this and get away from it. And so with LinkedIn, it might be more of their social networking site because they can get in and get their work done and then be on their way.
Right. So. It's interesting to see how, as social networking has evolved, that there's a drop in the use of, for men being on those sites, because I would just think that it would probably increase. But as you mentioned, I can understand how women are on there more to interact with their friends and post the photos, things like that. So it actually makes a lot of sense.
We know from our own personal experience.
Exactly.
But of course, we want to know, is this true in your case? Or are you a woman and you know that you're way better at social networking than your man? Or are you a man and you're like, hey, no, I use social networking all the time. I'm way better than most of the women I know. Let us know, northwestohio.com, or our Facebook, facebook.com/northwestohio.
Now, we're going to have to revisit this topic with Michael tomorrow and just sort of ask him to chime in, because he is addicted to social media, and he admits it. So he may be part of the rare group of men that actually use it more than some women. So
well, and he's also a journalist, and I feel like that's a whole different breed of people.
Right.
They need their own category for social media polls, but
yeah. All right. So as Liz said, you can chime in.